Hello, this is investigative journalist Brian Thompson. Before we begin, I would like to make an announcement. On Wednesday, December 19th, at 8:30 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, I will be recording the 100th episode of Whatever Happened to Pizza at McDonald's, live in the parking lot of the Burbank Central Library in Burbank, California. This recording will culminate with me donating my copy of the novelization of the movie Willow to said library. I hope you can join me. Thank you for your attention to this announcement. I will now begin the program. Welcome to Whatever Happened to Pizza at McDonald's, the investigative journalism program, or IJP, where I ask the question, whatever happened to the pizza at McDonald's, a proud part of the Pizza Plea Network. I'm your host, Brian Thompson. For the past several weeks, I have been trying to get to the bottom of whether a pizza box seen on a recent episode of the situation comedy Young Sheldon was, as it appeared to be, an exact facsimile of a McDonald's pizza box circa the late 1980s and early 1990s, aka the heyday of McDonald's pizza. First, I attempted to infiltrate Warner Brothers Studios, the filming location of Young Sheldon, by asking the security guard at the front gate if I could be allowed inside. He refused, but I cannot blame him for this. There were likely cameras watching his every move, and if he broke protocol by allowing me to search the Young Sheldon prop room, it is very possible he could have lost his job. As an unskilled laborer, such a development could spell disaster for him and his family. Later, I learned that Warner Brothers Studios allows the public to take tours of their facilities. When I asked a representative if it would be possible for me to take a look inside the Young Sheldon prop room on one of these tours, she indicated it was not out of the question. However, a ticket for said tour costs $65. My finances are very tight at the moment, as I have had to spend a significant amount of money purchasing bags of salt to combat the phalanx of garden slugs that have overrun my property and the surrounding neighborhood, after I began growing daffodils for pleasure and profit based on advice I read in a book called Growing Daffodils for Pleasure and Profit. Not only have I been forced to purchase this salt for my own home defense, but I have also been invoiced by dozens of my neighbors who have had to do the same. And even though the salt seems to be effective in melting the slugs, this tactic has resulted in a surplus of slimy slug residue that is making the roads in my neighborhood dangerously slippery. I suspect that before this is over, I will have to either pay for some sort of industrial hosing operation to clear out the slime, or I will have to pay to defend myself from frivolous lawsuits filed by any unscrupulous neighbors who may purposefully drive in a reckless manner over these slug slicks, in the hopes that they will find a personal injury attorney to take their case. In short, I cannot afford to go on a tour of Warner Brothers Studios. Frankly, I was quickly approaching the metaphorical end of my literal wits. It seemed I would have to abandon this thread of my investigation, just like I abandoned the thread related to whether or not the army deserter Bo Bergdahl abandoned his post in Afghanistan in search of a black market McDonald's that still serves pizza. But, unlike the Bo Bergdahl thread, this thread about a possible McDonald's pizza box used on an episode of Young Sheldon is not insufferably boring. I knew that I could not give up just yet. And then inspiration struck. And by inspiration, I mean a paid audience recruiter stationed outside my local multiplex. I decided to take some much-needed personal time away from my investigation and attend a screening of a new film about a criminal named Grindelwald. When I approached the theater, I was accosted by a young woman who asked if I might be interested in attending a taping of a popular situation comedy. This sounded appealing to me, as I am obviously a big laugher. Even more appealing, the ticket to this taping would be provided free of charge. Most appealing of all, this taping would be held on a soundstage inside Warner Brothers Studios, home of Young Sheldon. I eagerly accepted this invitation and thanked the audience recruiter who had accosted me. I also thanked Jesus Ben David, just in case he or his father God Ben David had a hand in this fortuitous happening. And as I sat in that darkened theater, I confess I could not focus on Mr. Grindelwald's crimes, as my mind raced with the possibility that I may yet have found a way to infiltrate the young Sheldon prop room. This is the theme song to the situation comedy whose taping I attended. It is called The Connors, and it is about a family named the Connors who are dealing with the death of their matriarch. According to my ticket, I was to arrive at Warner Brothers Studios at least 2 hours before the time of the taping at 6 p.m. I left my home promptly at 7:45 a.m. and carefully drove over the slug slicks to the Warner Brothers parking garage, where I waited in a designated holding area for several hours. I do not know how many toxic exhaust fumes I inhaled in this time, but I believe the damage was minimal, as the Warner Brothers parking garage features an open-air plan on its ground floor. As such, I was able to watch passing traffic on the street outside. Around lunchtime, I noticed a Domino's pizza delivery car idling at a stoplight, so I attempted to flag it down in search of a bite to eat. Like McDonald's pizza, Domino's is pretty good for the price. However, I was informed it is against protocol for drivers to give pizzas to people who did not call ahead to order them. So, while I composed an electronic mail message to the Domino's Corporation to suggest they update this policy, I took as my sustenance an offering from the Warner Brothers parking garage snack machine, an onion ring alternative product called a Funyun. And this is when disaster struck. An employee of Warner Brothers Studios noticed that I was composing an electronic mail message on my smart telephone device, and she informed me that I would be required to leave said device in my car before being allowed onto the Warner Brothers lot. I was devastated, not only because I was unable to pass any downtime by composing electronic mail messages to various companies that could use some advice, but also because I would be unable to document my excursion either photographically or auditorily. I had considered wearing a wire, but I knew from my past experience trying to infiltrate Warner Brothers Studios that I would have to pass through a metal detector, and I did not want to be forced into a situation where I would have to submit to an embarrassing strip search in front of my fellow audience members. Reluctantly, I submitted to this employee's request. I am at Warner Brothers Studios preparing to go to a taping of The Connors, and I have been told to put away my electronic devices, so I'm going back to my car. I was also told there is a chance I will not get into this taping, as there are several VIPs, but at the risk of sounding uncouth, I can tell you that many of the people waiting in line with me are not dressed in a VIP fashion. I have now reached my car. Upon my return to the fume-filled audience gathering area on the first floor of the Warner Brothers parking garage, I was pleased to learn that those underdressed, very important persons did not take all the seats in the Connors soundstage. I made it inside, and was kindly escorted to a restroom near the soundstage by a young Warner Brothers page. I did not have to use the restroom for its intended purpose, but I wanted the privacy so that I might dislodge a pebble I found in my shoe. Then I returned to my seat and was treated to a 4-hour performance by such notable actors as the woman who played the bird's mother in the film Early Bird, and also the gentleman who played the title role in the film King Ralph. I had not seen any earlier episodes of the program, but the plot was simple enough to follow. I will not reveal it here in case you plan to watch the program yourself, but I can say I laughed heartily at the misadventures of this grieving family. As the evening wore on, however, I realized my mission to use this event as an opportunity to infiltrate the young Sheldon prop room in search of a McDonald's pizza box was in jeopardy. The heavy security both in and out of the soundstage meant that I could not leave my assigned seat unattended. I understand that it is in the production's best interest to protect King Ralph from any germs that may be carried by his fans, but I was also not allowed to wander outside of designated pedestrian lanes upon leaving the soundstage after the performance. Several studio employees directed human traffic using flashlights with red plastic cones on the end. I knew these were intended to illuminate the relevant footpaths, but due to an incident when I chased after an airplane I thought may have had McDonald's Pizza spokesperson Howard Mandel aboard, I also know that these flashlights make for fairly effective blunt force weapons. Not wanting to tempt fate, I succumbed to the will of the Warner Brothers Studios staff and politely exited the facility with no idea how I might return. On my drive home, I found myself lost in a melancholy reverie, thinking about how this opportunity had been botched. I was worried I might never be able to complete my mission to infiltrate the young Sheldon prop room. In fact, I was so distracted by disappointment that I neglected to slow down upon reaching my slug-slicked road and skidded into my neighbor's mailbox. Fortunately, this displaced a fair number of garden slugs who had colonized said box, but it also bent several pieces of my neighbor's mail. In my carelessness, I had become the thing I hated most, someone who bends mail. But then I realized that my depressive reverie was not to blame for this accident. I inspected my right foot, which I normally use to brake my car, and noticed the shoe was missing. It was no wonder my toe slipped from the brake pedal just as my tires hit the slug slick. Not only did this ease my conscience, it also provided an opportunity to perhaps complete my quest after all.
Thank you for calling Warner Brothers Studio Tour Hollywood. Please make your selection at any time. To speak with an agent immediately or to book a reservation, please press 1. For information...
Thank you for calling Warner Brothers Studio Tour Hollywood. How can I help you today?
Hello, my name is Brian Thompson, and I was recently at Warner Brothers Studios for a taping of the television program The Conners. And when I went to use the bathroom, I had a pebble stuck in my shoe. I took my shoe off to get the pebble out, and I think I may have left my shoe inside the studio. I was wondering if I could come pick it up.
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
I think there's a number I can transfer you to.
This was near the young Sheldon prop room?
Yes. I'm going to transfer you to Studio Lost and Found, okay?
Okay, thank you.
No problem. May I help you?
Hello, my name is Brian Thompson. Is this Lost and Found?
Yes, it is, Brent. You're looking for a Lost and Found item?
Yes, I was recently at Warner Brothers Studios for a taping of the television program The Conners, and when I went to use the bathroom, I found that there was a pebble in my shoe. I took my shoe off to remove the pebble, and I think I may have left my shoe inside Warner Brothers Studios.
Okay, is it just one shoe?
Yes, one shoe. Keds brand, gum-soled sneaker, slip-on. Color, lily white. Size. I believe this was somewhere near the young Sheldon prop room, if you know where that is.
No, I don't. But what show did you come see on that day?
I was attending a taping of The Conners. It's a situation comedy about a family dealing with the death of their matriarch.
Okay, let me see if they turned anything in. And what date was that possibly?
I believe it was last Friday.
Okay, let me see here. Last Friday?
Yes.
Last Friday, let me check that out here. I don't see anything that was turned in from Friday to today, so I can get your information, and just in case it does show up, I could have them call you.
Is it possible for me to just go to the studio and search around near the prop room for young Sheldon?
I don't believe they would allow that yourself, but...
You don't sound sure. Is there someone who could give me that permission?
I'd have to let you talk to the watch commander, but you say it was last Friday and no one's turned it in yet.
Yes.
So leads me to believe that... So you're saying you took off your shoe,
yes,
and you went the whole day without your shoe?
I just didn't notice it. Those shoes are very comfortable. They feel like I'm not wearing any shoes at all, so I didn't notice that it was missing. I would be happy to talk to the watch commander.
Sure, Brian. Let me put you on hold.
Okay.
And let's go over this again. So you're using the restrooms by Stage 5, because that's where the restrooms are. And took off your shoe because there was a pebble in it.
Yes.
And then did you find the pebble?
Yes. I found the pebble. I knocked it out of my shoe.
And where did you go after that, sir?
I went back to the studio to watch the taping of the Connors.
So you're saying that they let you out during a taping of the show?
It was before the taping began.
Okay, good. Then proceeded to stage without shoe. Okay, let's get that description again of your shoe. It's a Keds, K-E-D-S.
K-E-D-S.
What brand is it?
Keds brand. Color lily white.
And it's white?
Slip-on.
Okay.
Gum-soled sneaker. Size.
Sneaker. And is it the right one or the left?
Right. Well, my right.
Okay, and it's a right side shoe. Okay, and it was in the men's room that you left it?
Outside. It was near the Young Sheldon prop room. I remember seeing a door that said Young Sheldon prop room, if I'm not mistaken.
Was it by a restroom, or was it by a... What were you doing by the prop room?
I just assume all of the rooms for all of the shows are in the same general area. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the layout of the studio.
Okay, was it by the Connors stage?
It was near there. I was escorted away by a page.
Okay. Hey, Misty. Audience member? Okay. Let me put you on hold, and I'm going to ask my sergeant to see if they could allow you to do that. And you're saying it was on last Friday?
Yes.
Okay, one moment.
Thank you.
Watchman.
Hello, is this the Watch Commander?
It is. How can I help you, sir?
Thank you for your service. First of all, my name is Brian Thompson, and I was just telling someone that I was attending a taping of The Connors last Friday, and I think I may have left my shoe somewhere in the studio. I think it was beside the Young Sheldon prop room or near the Young Sheldon prop room, and I understand no one has turned it in, so I was told that you can grant me permission to enter the studio and search around that area.
Oh, no, we definitely don't do that. We're looking for our lost and found, and we can have some patrol units go by and check the area, but we can't let you back on to look for it.
Oh, okay.
We'll do everything we can in our power to go ahead and locate it for you. So you were walking off the property, or?
I was walking away from the studio to use the bathroom. I was escorted away by a page before the taping began.
Uh-huh.
And I found a pebble in my shoe. I took my shoe off to remove the pebble, and I suppose I just forgot that I was supposed to put it back on, and I lost it.
You walked from stage 24 all the way off the property without noticing your shoe being gone?
I didn't notice until I got back to my car.
All right, so what kind of shoe was it?
It was a white Keds brand slip-on sneaker, gum-soled.
White Keds sneaker.
Size.
All right, we'll double check the lost and found, and I'll have a patrol unit go and check out that area, and we'll give you a call back and let you know.
Okay, I greatly appreciate it.
No problem, Brian. Have a good day.
You too. This appears to be another dead end. Today's episode of Whatever Happened to Pizza at McDonald's is brought to you by Keeps. Are you tired of gathering your fallen hairs from your shower drain and adhering them back to your scalp every morning using rubber cement or another adhesive? Keeps may offer you some relief. There are only 2 drugs approved by the United States Food and Drug Administration to combat hair loss, and Keeps' team of robotic doctors will pretend that you need one of them. All you have to do is pay the robots money. Now you are taking some pills, and there is a certain percentage chance they may stave off the inevitable decline of your hairiness. Keeps. Ditch the rubber cement. Thank you for listening to Whatever Happened to Pizza at McDonald's, a proud part of the Pizza Plea Network. Do you know what happened to Pizza at McDonald's? Do you remember it? Please send all correspondence to pizzaatmcdonalds@gmail.com. Visit our attractive website at www.pizzaatmcdonalds.com. You will find links to our Twitter and Instagram pages, as well as to our Teespring store, where you may purchase quality Whatever Happened to Pizza at McDonald's merchandise. To provide financial support, visit patreon.com/pizzaatmcds, or to make a one-time donation, use our PayPal email address, pizzaatmcdonalds@gmail.com. I'm Brian Thompson.